and welcome to a Bronco update. I haven't filmed one of these in a while, and that's because I had some pretty devastating news in November that made it really hard for me to really want to do anything, especially get on camera and film. And then also I was already super busy because I decided to do the bins and whatnot stuff twice a week in November, and then also Thanksgiving for the holidays. So I was pressed. So we are actually going to talk about the whatnot in a little bit because we got to get into that in order to talk about the Bronco Fund. But let me go ahead and share with you what has sold since the last time I talked to you all that went into the Bronco Fund from items that were free to me from friends and family in my own closet, and also from you guys because y'all have just been super generous. Several have been super generous and sent me boxes of goodies, either stuff from their death pile that they're like, I'm never gonna list this, or stuff that they don't normally sell in their business but has come across from their friends and family giving it to them. So I have been very, very fortunate this year, and I just want to give a big thank you not only to those of you that have contributed by donating stuff to me for this Bronco Fund, but for those of you watching these videos and for just hanging out with me this year. If you are new here and you just have no idea what I'm talking about, I bought a 2023 green four-door Ford Bronco. It is my dream vehicle. I actually built this vehicle 2.5 years ago. I reserved an order when they announced the vehicle, and then it took like 2.5 years for them to finally build it. I had to reorder it like a couple years in a row because they're like, oh, we're not gonna get to yours right now. You're gonna have to wait another year. So sorry. Totally worth it. I got it like the week after my birthday, which it was a milestone birthday, so it was a great birthday present to myself. And my heart swells every time I see it. Like whenever I go to the post office to drop off packages, or I just like am going to go into it for my partner's house or get into it to go to my partner's house, I just get so happy when I see it. So it has been just absolutely amazing. And I thought it'd be really cool because I've talked about multiple times on my channel, like, share what you do. You'll never know like how generous people are. I've also made a lot of really good sourcing connections that way as well, like in the estate sale business. I've had them call me a couple times, like when they're doing the clean out portion after the estate sale's older, it'd be like, you know, name a price and come pick up as much clothing as you want, which has been amazing. So I'm always a proponent, tell people what you do. It's a great way to start a reselling business, is to just see if your friends and family have clothes, or even start with your own closet. So that is why I'm doing this. And also it's really cool to be able to pay for you know, $45,000 vehicle without any money out of pocket, right? Right. That sounds awesome. So the first item I'm going to share with you that sold is this Talbot's skirt. I actually got several offers on this Talbot skirt, like in the $8 to $10 range. I'd originally listed it at $30 because that is what comps were at. This is 100% wool. It was a teal, gray, black plaid. I believe this came from my lovely friend Melissa because she does not like selling wool clothing. She doesn't like touching wool clothing, which, as someone with sensory issues, totally get that. I finally accepted an offer of $20 and sent it off to them. Super happy that I got an opportunity to sell this. She knows I love wool. I also love plaid skirts, so this was a perfect fit. This came from Victoria. She gave me a box of really wonderful nerdy things. I will link that video up above if you have not seen it. It was all new. A lot of it sold for Halloween, and now some of it has just, I guess, sold for Christmas gifts maybe. But this is We Love Fine, which is kind of like a fast fashion brand. It's definitely online only. And these were Dota 2 leggings in a 2XL. Dota 2 is it's a MOBA, right? Multi-online battle arena. I think it's a MOBA. I don't know. That's not important. I sold these leggings for $9.87. Thank you, Victoria. This actually came out of my own closet. This is something I thrifted a while ago, and it was really pretty. That's why I kept it, but the shoulders didn't quite fit, so I realized I wasn't wearing it because the shoulders didn't quite fit me. So I decided for this, I was just gonna go ahead and list it because I'd rather have, you know, the $20 going towards my Bronco than a blazer that I'm never wearing because it doesn't quite fit me right. Sold for, like I said, $20, and the buyer paid for shipping. And somebody who hopefully will actually wear this piece from the 70s, now owns it. This, I believe, came from Amber. This is an Urban Outfitters piece. It is extra small. Again, all sizes. I sell all sizes. Extra small is out from under a baggy waffle knit, and this, you can see Karen wore it. Sold for $10. It's free to me, so when I got that offer, I was like, you know what? You can have it. And Amber, thank you. This dress, I believe, came from Melissa, but this was new with tags, so it was very generous. It sold for $37.40. It was a petite dress, and it was a beautiful dark floral. It was a wrap dress, absolutely gorgeous. I sent off, I believe, 20% off offers, and someone happily accepted that. So this was a great sale, and really awesome to have a new with tags piece to sell. This next item also came from Melissa. This is a Nike piece. She doesn't have luck selling these basic Nike and Adidas and like Under Armour pieces, but I do, and I love reselling them. So she had a whole bag for me of just like workout stuff, and this sold for $13, and of course the buyer paid for shipping, so Melissa, thank you again. This came from Amber. Amber, thank you so much again. It was very humbling to have you reach out to me to send this to me. I really, really do appreciate it. This sold for $20. This is an LL Bean, like large orange funnel neck sweater, very heavy, very cozy, beautiful color, actually gorgeous color in person. Again, sold for $20, and Amber, thank you. This item came from Denise. Denise was like, I'm never gonna sell any of these ties. So she just bundled up all the ties from her def pile and sent them to me. So Denise, thank you so much. This vintage brown and church necktie from Georgia State sold for $6. I actually got several offers on this tie, and they were even lower than that. And I was like, you know what? This is free. It can just go. So hopefully someone from Georgia State is enjoying this tie, and Denise, thank you so much. These came from Chris. He does not sell shoes, so when his mom gifted him a bunch of shoes that she was getting rid of her closet, he sent them all to me, which was very, very generous of him. This is actually surprising that it was the first one to sell because it's Forever 21. But I knew that these glitter sparkle boots would sell, and they sold for $6.55, and the buyer paid for shipping. So Chris, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And yeah, the sparkly boots sold first. This also came from my own closet. I worked for Adidas. If you don't know Adidas, Adidas is Adidas. Adidas is just how the rest of the world says it outside of America. I worked for Adidas for 4 years, and I bought and wore and got for free a lot of Adidas x Stella McCartney stuff. I love Stella McCartney as a designer. Stella McCartney is Paul McCartney's daughter. If you don't know who Paul McCartney is, Paul McCartney was a member of the Beatles and is a musician. So this doesn't fit me anymore. The girls have grown because I have gotten bigger. From my time when I worked at Adidas, I fluctuated between 115 and 125 pounds. I weigh 160 pounds now. I fluctuate between 155 and 160 now. So yeah, I was a pole. But it sold for $17, and the buyer paid for shipping. This, was from 2008 or 2009, so not quite vintage yet, but it was just a cute piece. I wore this a lot. I wore it a lot. It was very cute. These came from Melissa as well. Again, I talked about her not wanting to resell these basic Nike pieces. This is a pair of medium joggers. They sold for my full asking price of $14.87. This also came from Melissa because it was cashmere wool blend. This was Charisma. Charisma seems to do well in the cashmere wool blends. It doesn't seem to sell well beyond that. So if you see it out there, I've seen it multiple times since I got gifted this brand. I'd never heard of this brand before Melissa gifted it to me. But now when I see it, I do check the quality of the fabric content, because if it has any cashmere or wool in it, I will pick it up from now on because they do seem to sell well. This sold for $20, and the buyer paid for shipping. Another stunning gift from Melissa. It is very rare that a vintage item sells like the day you list it. It is very rare for a vintage item to sell that fast. So it may be that I priced it too low, but I had no sold comps for this at all. I know that vintage work coats do sell well, and I know that they can sell for good money. So without any comps, I did my best. This sold, I listed it that night, it sold the next morning. Sold by the next morning. So this is a vintage from the 60s Turner Togs men's canvas work coat that had flannel lining inside of it, and it sold for $49.87. So Melissa, thank you so much for this gift. She knows I love vintage, and so this was just a lovely gift. I did not expect it to sell that fast. I knew they were valuable. Maybe it was just me putting it up for sale at the right time. I don't know, but Melissa, thank you. This also came from Melissa. This is a Cabby piece. This sold for $10. You know, Cabby is a mid-tier designer brand that has a high retail price and an abysmal retail price, or resale price most of the time. So this sold for $10. It's just polyester. I normally don't pick up Cabby unless I personally like it, or it is silk, wool, or linen. So perfectly happy to resell it though if I get it for free. So Melissa, thank you again. This is another piece from Victoria. And again, we love fine. These are, again, Dona 2 leggings. They have a 31-inch inseam. I always put the inseam when I can on our items because I'm someone that looks out for that. These were size medium. Sold my full asking price of $9.87. And that is everything that sold since the last time I talked to you guys. So after, you know, fees and shipping costs, the amount of money that I had in my Bronco Fund after all of those sales from the last time I talked to you guys, because remember the last time I left you all, we had a Bronco Fund of like $4 and I think 23 cents was the end result. So after fees and shipping, I'm at $218.02. For the month of November, I did a bunch of Whatnot auctions. I would go to the bins, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I was doing a Whatnot auction, $2 starts, which went way better than I had hoped for. So everyone that bought for me or showed up to any of those auctions, anybody who watched any of those videos, thank you so much. I was also trying to get used to the new POV camera that I picked up, which has been absolutely amazing. I really like being able to share my point of view with you guys, which is something that I haven't been doing because I didn't want to wear the big bulky GoPro. I have that camera. It's called an Insta360 Go 3. The actual camera is like half the size of an AirPods case, and then it still has like the big box, but the box is like 2/3 of the size of a GoPro. So even it's already smaller than a GoPro, and then like the actual camera that you can detach from the mount is like this big. It's awesome. So really happy to get that figured out. So thank you. I have decided that all of the money from that is going to my Bronco Fund. And you're like, but you didn't take money out of your Bronco Fund to pay for those hauls. So how does that work? Well, what you guys did not know is that I was pulling an item out of each of those bins hauls that would have paid for the haul. And I will, when those sell, I will share those with you for continuity sakes, just to tell you. But I have found multiple pieces. Like I found one piece every time I went to the bins that covered the entire bins trip. So that is why I'm not taking anything out of the Bronco Fund. I know it's a little cheaty. It's a little cheaty. But also all of the items I sold roughly, I will do an overall thing in another separate video. But pretty much every Whatnot sale, I was only selling about half of the items that I listed. So the other half of the items I'm still listing up on eBay. So those are gonna sell and also cover the cost of the bins trip. So that is why I feel like, even though it's a little cheaty, I still think it's valid. Also, it's my own thing, so I'm making up the rules anyway. If you don't want to count that and like want to light me a fire in the comments, feel free to do so. It's engagement. But also, like, these are rules I made up for myself. So I'm technically feeling like I'm not paying anything out of pocket because the money that I spent at the bins, like I was spending like $30 a time at the bins. One item is definitely going to cover that cost. It's negligible to me. So whatever. So now let me share with you guys what I actually deposited into my account. Now I still have 2 auctions, like the last 2 auctions at the end of November that haven't cleared yet because I haven't sold 1,000 items and whatnot yet. So that money will be in the next Bronco update. So the first deposit from the first week of shows was $89.71. The next deposit from the second week of shows was $75.20. And then the next deposit for the third week of shows was $115.41. And that is because one Thursday Whatnot had a glitch. And so all the stuff that was from that auction ended up getting married into another bins haul. So it was just a really big show. So $115.41. And so after you add all of the Whatnot money I just mentioned to my Bronco Fund that I already had, it's $498.34. So of course I had to take that $400, pay my bi-weekly payment to my Bronco, and then now I'm left with $98.34. Now I'm waiting for that last final set of Whatnot auctions to clear, and when that clears, my plan is to take that money and buy a men's thread-up box when they become available. So I will hopefully talk about that and show you guys in a couple weeks. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, Amber, Melissa, Victoria, Denise, and Chris, thank you guys so much for contributing to this and for just being a part of my community and for just being lovely people. I appreciate talking to you guys in the comments. I also love talking to you guys on Instagram, which if you haven't followed me there, here it is. It's also going to be at the end. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye! Bye. Y'all are going to get the full gamut of all of my vintage sweaters, my vintage grandpa sweaters this month, because, you know, it's cold outside and I love them, so